Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just take a seat somewhere here. What's up?
Much. Are you inside a tent right now?
Yes, I am. My partner's on the phone and he's very loud, so I had to kind of walk away from him.
Okay. If you need to stop for any reason, just let me know. Okay. Welcome. You are the second installment of Kaleidoscope Soul Cafe. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Oh, wow.
So if you just want to give yourself a little introduction so people know who you are.
Name is Joel Blaine. I am New York State Trooper, father, son, brother, Jiu Jitsu black belt. I'm a man of many traits, I guess, you know.
Very nice. So if you want to start, any questions that I have, you feel free to answer them however you interpret them. So don't try and take them a certain way. Just take them however they come out to you. If you don't want to answer something, you don't feel comfortable, just let me know and we can move on to another question.
All right,
so first thing is just tell me a little bit about your childhood and like growing up in your family.
My childhood, I'm very fortunate. I grew up with my mother and father, close family with my two sisters also. We were very close growing up. My father was a hardworking guy. He was working a lot to pay the bills. So, I didn't really have so much of that father-son aspect when I was younger. And then with my mother, it was a lot of her, with my sisters and taking us to the mall, kind of doing more of the stuff that I wasn't into. So it was a little interesting, I had to, really rely on my friends to go out and, learn how to ride bikes and, do adventurous things like that. I gotta say, I had a fortunate childhood. I learned a lot through working with my father growing up. Learned a lot of life lessons from my mother. Learned a lot about myself and my sisters. So I think it's definitely helped change and make who I am today.
And where did you grow up mostly?
Glen Rock. That was my middle school, high school, elementary school. I did it all over there.
Okay, so a New Jersey suburb.
Yep, New Jersey.
When your mother got sick and then eventually passed away, did your role in your family change or did it stay somewhat the same?
Yeah, so that's when life kind of took a turn for me. My mother got sick. She was diagnosed with cancer. I was around 15 years old. So I'm still, figuring out who I am. And, life was still brand new to me. I wasn't even too sure what I was going to do after high school. So the role of my family, my father is the one that supports the whole family financially, the head of the household, the head, honcho, and me being the only male in the family, I felt like I did have I have an obligation to step up in the family as far as being a good role model for my sisters, helping out financially in the house, and support. Support was huge. It's a tough time. So she passed away, unfortunately, when I was 18, 19, turning 19, around the holidays. It was very tough. Everyone took it very hard. My sisters really took it probably the worst, and my grandmother. So just learning how to pick everybody up emotionally, being there for them, it really pushed me, and I became a lot more driven as far as setting up goals with my career and making a plan as to what I wanted to do after high school. So definitely changed a lot in my life, I gotta say.
Nice. What is one of your fears?
I guess one of my biggest fears, I guess, is just not being able to take care of myself or my family, whether it's financially or, I guess the biggest thing would be financially. Everybody's biggest fear,
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the scariest thing.
Yeah, it's probably like a big motivator too. Scary, but like pushes you.
Definitely.
Tell me about your Cuban heritage. Do you celebrate it or keep it under wraps?
Cuban heritage, it's still something I'm still learning about even to today. I try to pick little stories up from my father. He left the country. Both my parents left Cuba when they were young. They were like in their teens. So their memory of Cuba is, they spend more time here in America than Cuba. So I go off of stories from them, from my grandmother, my grandfather. And I would like to say we keep our heritage proud. I try to speak Spanish whenever I can, whether it's with family or friends at work. I try to keep that going, and I'm trying to instill that even with my daughter now. I tell my sisters too. I said, listen, try to use it, because if not, you can't pass it down to your next generation. And we definitely keep it going with the food. I eat a lot of, Spanish food. I eat rice and beans, chicken. Me and my father are always on the barbecue. We're always doing pig roasts at least once or twice a year. So the food, the language, the music, I love listening to bachata, salsa. Salsa is big. That's big in the Cuban, culture. And I just try to stay in touch with family too, because that's something I've learned over the years. Family is very important, and especially family that I have overseas, whether they are Cubans that have emigrated to Venezuela, to Spain, or even here in the U.S. I try to stay in touch with them, and I feel like it keeps that bond. It keeps the culture going. And now one of my next goals is to take my father on a trip to Cuba. I've been there myself. I went a couple years ago, but now one of my goals is to take him, because he hasn't been ever since he left the country.
Wow.
So I want to share that experience with him.
That'd be nice. I know that you practice Jiu Jitsu. Can you tell me what got you into it and what you enjoy about it?
So Jiu Jitsu, one of my biggest passions in life. When I was a teen, I wasn't really the popular kid in high school. I was just like in between. Never got bullied or anything, so it wasn't really a bullying story. But there was a couple of instances, like outside of school. I would go to work with my father on the weekends. And over there in the Bronx, sometimes if there was downtime, I'd be playing outside, throwing a ball against the wall. And you get the local thugs coming up. And, one day I had a group of 5 kids coming at me, basically trying to pick a fight. So that happened on more than one occasion. And situations like that, thank God I never really got into anything. I've always had people either there come to help me out, or, they would just leave. Thank God I never really got into any altercations. But, those were kind of moments where I said, if something, God forbid, did happen, I want to learn how to defend myself. So in high school, I picked up wrestling. I did wrestling my last 2 years of high school. I thought of it as a good opportunity for me to get into good shape and to learn a really good sport. And I also loved pro wrestling at the time. I thought it would be maybe a little similar. Not at all. But it was good nonetheless. It was definitely one of the best experiences of my life, because without wrestling, after I graduated high school, I said, man, I love wrestling so much. I want to do something similar. That was the green light for me to find a martial art. So I said, man, maybe I'll try Taekwondo, thinking about looking up a school. And a buddy of mine that worked next door to me, I used to work at a hardware store, and the shop next to me was a vacuum store. So me and the owner were always, talking, and he tells me, he's like, hey, if you want to try martial arts, I know a perfect place for you to start. So he tells me about a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. He's like, come with me one day, we'll go, we'll try it out. I said, all right, what do I got to lose? So he takes me to the class. I go through the whole class, hour, 2 hours about. I thought I was going to puke that day. Like, I was gassed. I got beat up by so many people. I'm dripping in sweat. I'm like hugging the trash.
Oh, we have a little technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
And I don't know.
Yeah. You're cutting out reception.
Can you,
Somewhat.
I had somebody
There
calling
you
me.
go. You're good.
Alright. So where was I? I had lost my train of thought now.
So it was your first time you were
All right,
getting
so
into
with
it.
the jiu-jitsu,
You checked the place out with the guy from the store.
yeah. So I got my ass beat that day. I was tired. And at the end of the class, I said, you know what, let me sign up. This is good. This is very similar to wrestling, and it's something I love. I want to
But
get better at it.
no fun costumes like pro wrestlers.
You know, we wear our pajamas. You know, it was good. I loved it.
Nice.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Can I pause it for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just got to send a text.
All good. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Okay. So I know that you're a single father. Can you tell me a little bit about your daughter?
My daughter is the least expected best gift of my life. She is, I gotta say, like, you're never ready to be a parent. And
Losing you. Can you hear me? Got you back. All right.
Can
So
you
you
hear
said you're never. Yep. You said you're never ready to be a parent.
yeah, and she was definitely, sorry, it's a little loud here.
All good. We got you on the job.
Wait a second. She's definitely another piece of my life that, you know, definitely helped me make me who I am today. She's got, you know, a little personality from her mother, from me. She's a very serious girl at times, but very loving too. And as the years go on, like, I'm starting to see more of me and her. Like, she sees me working out outside, she wants to jump in. She'll say, "Daddy, I want to do pull-ups." And do a couple of sets. You know, I help her out, of course, but I love seeing that. I love seeing those little, you know, changes that she's going through. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing. It's crazy. It's like a miniature person, and you see these little characteristics of yourself in them.
And
So
now she's what, 4 or 5?
she's gonna be 5 on next Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, if you feel comfortable, but obviously you're on the job. I was going to say, can you talk about what you do for a living? Specifically, I guess, in the times now, obviously, being a cop and all this craziness going on, what your thoughts are on all of that.
I'll talk a little bit about it. So yeah, I'm a state trooper here in New York City. I work pretty much in any of the boroughs, wherever they need me, especially during these times. You know, we've been dealing a lot with the COVID-19 situation, so I'll work at many different test sites. Like this week, I'm working Staten Island, so just guarding the test site, making sure nothing happens here, and if something does, if we need to make a valid arrest, then, you know, we'll do that. But we're just here basically to make sure that there's order and peace and nothing goes wrong. We're here for worst case scenario. And then also too, you throw in the protests and the riots that were going on. So it's been busy lately for us. I don't like to talk too much about my views because in today's day, it's a very sensitive topic. So
I hear you.
I have my opinions, I have my views, and I see both sides of the table. So that's what I like to say. You know, I'm not one-sided. I see both sides, and definitely there needs to be change. As far as what, that's hard to determine, you know?
Yeah. So I have to ask, do you watch any of the cop shows on TV? SVU, CSI, NCIS, any of the cop shows?
From time to time, I watch it. If it's more like background noise for me, I don't know. I'm a different type of guy, I guess. I'm not like a super buff. You know, I like watching, you know, fishing videos. I'm kind of weird. Jiu Jitsu videos. You know, I watch weird stuff. You know, my other interests, my other hobbies. One second, I'm sorry.
All good.
Where were we?
You were just saying you watch silly videos, fishing. You were mentioning another hobby.
Yeah. I mean, I like doing a lot of outdoor stuff, so I'm always watching videos on fishing, kayaking, you know, stuff that I could do outside of the job, because I'm a big believer on that you have work and then you have your life outside of work, and that's very good for your mental health.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm always trying to see what we can do outside of work, you know, as far as hobbies and how can I make myself a better person, things like that.
All right, so can you name a song that you know all the words to, aside from the raps that you've been creating during quarantine?
Honestly, no, I'm very bad at that. If there's something I'm really bad at, it is movie lines, movie quotes, which bugs me because a lot of people are good at that, and lyrics to music. I'll know like one or two lines, and then I can't memorize anything unless it's my own stuff that I write down. And even then, I forgot them all.
You're reading it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a bad memory.
Are there any skills that you would like to master next? Or is that to be determined?
That's a good question. I've had a couple. So I got my black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I've always thought of maybe picking up another martial art like judo and maybe mastering that. It's not really like in the immediate plans. Right now, I'm kind of more just focusing on doing other things. Like I want to get more into fishing and, you know, lobster diving. So that's another kind of fun side thing I want to try to get into more.
Like
hobby, I guess you could say.
Diving for lobsters?
Yeah. Diving, catching them. I've done it a couple times before, and it's something I kind of like now. You know, it's become a hobby, I guess you could say, when I get the opportunity to do it.
Who inspires you? Famous, dead, alive, fictional? Do you have someone that you keep in the back of your head?
I gotta say my father. He's one of my biggest inspirations. You know, after I lost my mother, that kind of was the trigger. It was like, all right, you know, family is very important, and there's only so much time that we have on this planet. And I think about him every day, and I say, man, you know, I always wonder about his health, how he's doing, and what he's been through, the things he's done to, you know, provide for our family, just coming here to this country, you know, all the sacrifices he's made. And that's huge when you think about all that, like, and his story. You know, I could probably write a book on his life, and that's really inspired me to be able to do the same thing, if not better, and provide more from my family, my future family. And yeah, he's huge for me.
All right, if you were an animal, what would you be? And why?
That's cool. Oh, I'd probably say a monkey. Hold on 1 second here. We got somebody coming in.
On the phone.
Back?
My bad.
Back?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Is there a lot more questions? I just feel bad, you know. I don't want to make him.
No, you got 3 more. Or
right,
2 more. But you got to tell us your animal.
Animal. All right, I would say a monkey, just because they can do a lot, you know. They're crafty animals. They can hang from the tails. They super strength. And you know me, I like doing pull-ups and all that stuff, so I can relate with a monkey.
All right.
And they eat good fruits too, bananas, mangoes. So I feel like I can relate a lot with them. Smart too, smart animals.
That's true. Can you describe one or two of your favorite smells?
Huh. Oof. One of my favorite smells. You bring some good questions I never really thought about.
I would assume it would have been like a pig roast, something like related to like some sort of food.
Barbecue, yeah. Anything food related is pretty good. I'm a big sweet tooth guy, so when I smell something like chocolate chip cookies,
Mm.
the Nabisco factory on 208, driving past that and you smell the cookies baking, that's probably one of my favorite smells. Just brings back good memories.
Yeah. Well, you can't be mad smelling cookies. I mean, you could.
No.
I guess. What do you do to relax or take care of yourself?
Anything physical related, exercise, jiu-jitsu, I feel like those are my kind of outlets as far as, dealing with stress, working out, and just burning off that energy, burning off calories, sweating. And even better after that, I'll take time to like 5-10 minutes to just stretch and decompress and almost meditate.
Mm.
And it feels good. It's just a good feeling, reflecting on the workout, reflecting on the goals that I'm achieving. So it's pretty much what I do.
And my last question, right now the world is changing in many ways. People are reinventing themselves and taking on different roles and responsibilities, coping with the loss of loved ones and the loss of the old normalities. Do you have any advice or anything that you'd like to say?
I would say that dealing even with these hard times, a lot of people have lost businesses and a lot of people have been affected, losing family members. But the biggest thing is, remember, you still have yourself, you have other family around, and to stay focused and stay positive. The goals that you have, don't give up on them. I never thought I'd be where I'm at today, but when I set a plan and I have a goal in mind, I just attack it. And if you fail the first time, you just got to try it again. And then if you fail the second time, you got to try it again. And you just got to keep going after it. Because I've had to do that. And it's true. I wouldn't come out successful the first, second time. I would have to try third, fourth, fifth. And it's true. You get there eventually. And don't ever settle. Once you get there, create another goal. Always have something in mind, because you got to keep your brain going. You got to keep your brain active, and you should always be striving to achieve for more. And remember, you got family, you got friends for support. So, no one's ever alone in this world. So just keep working hard at what you're aiming to do.
Sounds like some good advice.
That's my 2 cents.
Very nice. Well, thank you
Thanks.
for being with us. We're still trying to figure it out over here. It's like work in progress. I don't know where to look. Like, do I look at the camera? I've been looking at you the whole time. It's all good.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And this was awesome. Sorry I had to stop a couple times.
It's all good. You're one of the few working, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, trying.
All right, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Take care.
Bye.